Hey guys, Trent at Black Horse Ranch. Welcome back. And today I'm going to go over a little bit of stuff on the 4430 that we've had a little bit of issue with. So if you've seen some of my previous videos where we repaired the leak in the Rockshaft or the hitch, unfortunately we have to do the same thing again. We don't have to do all the bushings and all the seals that we did last time, but we have to do the plate with the gasket. I don't know if the plate is bent yet, and I haven't done it, but I wanted to show you some of the stuff that we found. So we found an underlying issue that was causing that gasket to blow. So this is the filter bypass housing, and on the 4430, I've got the quad range transmission. This sits just directly behind the filter housing on the, I guess you would call it the driver's side or the left side of the tractor. So I also have the hydraulic four-wheel drive, if you'll remember. So this might not look exactly like yours, but there's some issues in this filter bypass housing that caused our problems initially. So this is all kind of going back, I guess this is going back to what we found kind of in hindsight. So I'll kind of just run you through. Basically what we had happen was this winter, it's been a pretty cold winter, and we've had to use the tractor a lot more for feeding the cows. We had a lot more snow than we've had since we've been here, and I just didn't have any other vehicles that could get through the snow as good as the tractor could. So what ended up happening was we had a lot of single-digit days, where last year when we had those days I wasn't using the tractor. This year I was. And what ended up happening was I'm running the tractor when the hydraulic oil is a lot colder and a lot thicker. And so this filter bypass works in the way of if you have really cold hydraulic oil, instead of trying to force it through the filter and blow your filter out or cause other issues, there's a bypass valve in here that allows the pressure. If there's too much pressure because the oil is too viscous, then it actually will bypass the filter until the oil gets warm enough, and then the valve will close down again. So I'll give you a close-up of this valve, but basically what ended up happening was one of the owners before I got the tractor only had 3 owners, so I'm not sure who it was, but they had taken the spool out of the filter bypass housing, and they had put the valve portion and the spring in the wrong position. So this is what mine looks like from the back side. So this is what you would see on the tractor side. This sensor on the top is for the four-wheel drive, so you may not have that. And some of these other fittings are for that as well. So anyway, I'll get a closer look. But anyway, what happened was I started having, the first thing I noticed was I started having a hydraulic oil leak from this housing, and it was coming out the top, and I thought I had blown a gasket. So I got a new gasket, and I took the housing off, and I replaced the gasket, put everything back on. And I did replace a couple of the seals and stuff in here. And when I put it back on, I fired the tractor up and instantly had the exact same leak. And so that was a little bit baffling to me. And what I ended up finding was that there was a hairline fracture in the case, this aluminum case. And what it ended up happening was the valve got stuck. The valve got stuck in the closed position, basically, so it wasn't allowing any oil to bypass the filter. And the spring ended up pushing out the top, where it's not supposed to go. And the spring came all the way out. The valve slammed, with the hydraulic pressure, slammed up into the top of this case and cracked it. So the valve itself is steel, and this case is aluminum. And so it cracked it right on the weak point. And so I ended up having to get a whole new case for this. So I'll put this down and I'll show you exactly kind of what happened, and you can see the detail. The repair for this is simple. It's 5 bolts. It's removing hydraulic fittings. There's nothing rocket science about it, so I'm not putting that in the video. I just wanted to go through and explain that there's some other issues that can cause, the Rockshaft failure that we had before. So my mechanic, basically we deduced that this is what the original problem was at the beginning. That's probably why the gasket blew in the Rockshaft and why the plate was bent. This would cause an overpressure situation on the return oil side, and that would be why the plate would bend, and the gasket would blow out. So let me turn the camera around and I'll show you exactly what was wrong in this. And I guess the lesson of the story is you may not have this exact same situation, but when you're taking spool valves apart, it's really important to put them back in the right orientation and the right configuration. That may sound totally obvious to most of you, but I guess it's just a point of emphasis. It's designed to work in a certain way, obviously, and if you put it together backwards, it doesn't work. So, there can be underlying causes for things that are happening in your tractor, so, just always be aware of that to kind of backtrack and see what may be the cause. So let's flip this around and I'll show you the actual culprit here, and just, I guess, heads up for what you might look for on your tractor. Okay guys, so here's the inside of the spool valve. The filter bypass valve is this portion right here. So my tractor is a 18,000 XXX, so that's the vintage of the serial number. So this is one of the earliest models, I think. Anyway, they're different for each subsequent serial number series. So mine's the earliest model, and the way it works is, so this plug comes out of the bottom here, and then you have this spring and that valve. Now, when I opened mine, this was the spring, and it was wrapped around the top of the valve, and then this little piece was broken off, and it was wedged in here or back there or something. And luckily that it didn't go further than that. I don't know if it can, because the ports are small in here. But the problem with mine was that this valve was basically installed like this. So the spring was in, and then the point of the valve was up like so, and I'm trying to do this one-handed here. And then the spring, you can see in the top there, went all the way up to the top like that, and then the valve slides in here. Well, this is not how it's supposed to operate. If we pull this back out and get the spring out, the way this is supposed to go, well, I guess before I get to that, what happened was this, when the spring popped out, it came out this top port right here and sprung out. And when that happened, this pressure took this and slammed it up to the top. And you can see that small dent in the top. That happened. And then you can see here's the hairline crack. And it goes all the way up to like the front of here. Crack the paint on the outside and everything. And I didn't notice that when I first replaced the gasket, which is why I still had the leak, obviously. So the way this is supposed to go is that this spring is actually, it goes in first, just like it shows up there. And then it goes inside the bottom of this valve. And that goes up in like this. And I can understand why they thought it might be in wrong by putting it in this way, if that's really what happened. Because when you push this valve up in there, you don't actually get any resistance on the spring until the valve is all the way up to the top. And so you can see how it's supposed to be. And so this little port right here is because this valve can fall all the way down in here, and you can see on the bottom of this plug where it sits. But that's what this port is for. So if that valve happens to fall all the way down, oil pressure can still get in here and push it back out, and then it hits the spring and stops right there. And then when the oil pressure gets too much in here, it pushes this valve up and opens this port, or this area up in here, to bypass the filter. So that's how it's supposed to be. Mine was flipped upside down, which forced the spring to come out with the oil pressure and break. And that made the valve go all the way up and crack the case, and it probably blocked this whole port off, which wouldn't allow the pressure to bypass, and which caused extra pressure to build up in the Rockshaft and blow the gasket there, and possibly bend the plate. I haven't taken it out again yet to see if that's the case. So I'll hop outside real quick and show you where this is on the tractor. You probably, if you've worked on these, you already know what I'm talking about, but I'll just do it real quick and show you. So this all happened at the same time, which was part of my clue, and I asked the John Deere dealer and my mechanic, and both of them thought it was a coincidence that I got this leak and was having hydraulic pressure problems at the same time. All right, so here we are on the driver's side. There's the door, and you can see the filter there. And then that housing is this housing right here behind the filter. I hope that made sense, and hopefully that was helpful to somebody. I don't know, I guess the moral of the story is you may not have my exact issue. Put your spool valves in together right. And if you have repeat offenses, you need to check into possible root causes of why stuff would happen. In my case, the Rockshaft repair again, which I feel a lot more confident about now since I've done it already. And it's a lot less stuff that I'm going to be doing. So just simple tools and a little muscle needed. But anyway, I hope that's helpful to some people. If not, I don't know, it's interesting to some hopefully. So if you guys enjoy the content, hopefully you'll subscribe, and hopefully you will hit the thumbs up, and appreciate you watching. Take care.